Hey guys, I'm Rob Biernacki. This is Rory Van Vliet. We run bjjconcepts.net, and those are the two best attacks from the guard. I probably will go off on a tangent at some point during this video about how attempting to submit people from the closed guard as a beginner is not a really good idea. That's why we wanted to show you two attacks. One from standing against an opponent where you've just been knocked down, you're on your back. You need some kind of method to get yourself back to your feet so you can get the hell out of there, or pass the guard if you have that ability at this point. And the other being, somebody's all the way into your closed guard. How are we going to reverse the situation in the most reliable way for a beginner to be able to execute, rather than going for, let's face it, a crappy armbar or triangle attempt that's going to result with you getting your guard passed and ending up on the bottom of side control for the rest of the round, which if you're a beginner, you know what that feels like. So we'll start with the tripod sweep. We call this the jab of jiu-jitsu because it's the first thing you should learn. It's a range management tool and it allows you to set up a bunch of other attacks. But against people who aren't super familiar with it, it may be quite effective in and of itself. And even against advanced practitioners, when it's mixed in with a bunch of other attacks, it's something that never loses its effectiveness. Basically, if you don't know how to do this sweep, you probably don't know jiu-jitsu. So the tripod sweep is a hip and lever mechanic. When we talk about jiu-jitsu concepts, when I'm trying to sweep somebody, especially somebody who's standing, I want to control the hip and the lever to the hip. Right? I want to place my foot, assuming that my partner steps forward with his right leg, I want to place my foot, my left foot, in his right hip, right in the crease. It's called the iliac crest. I want to control the end of the lever with my hand cupping at his ankle, right by the heel. My other foot is going to make a butterfly hook, which is controlling this lever to my partner's hips. So I've got direct control of my partner's hips via this frame that's managing the distance between us, allowing me to prevent him from getting close enough to me to, like, say, if you wanted to throw a strike, he's never gonna be able to hit me from here, right? So if we're talking about jiu-jitsu, its original conception as a self-defense tool as opposed to a sport, we're able to keep somebody at a distance, preventing them from being able to, like, cave our teeth in. This foot here, the butterfly hook, is going to be pulling, preventing my partner from being able to retreat from the position. Because if all I do is this and I push and then my leg disconnects, my frame has turned into a lever. He now has the dominant control of my hip. I wanted the lever to his hip, he's got the lever to mine. On a fundamental level, jiu-jitsu is a game of frames and levers. The person who decides who is using a frame or who is using a lever effectively is going to win pretty much every exchange. So I want a frame, he wants a lever. To prevent him from turning this frame into a lever, I prevent his retreat, and now I'm controlling two levers and I've got one frame. He's controlling zero levers and has no frame. So if, we often use mathematics to describe who has the advantageous situation in jiu-jitsu. I've got the advantage here because I've got all of the control mechanisms. So let's rotate this way now. Let's switch to this side. So I've got control of my partner's ankle. I've got control of my partner's hip. I'm going to be pulling him towards me. But if I try to push him away right now, if he's tall, he's going to be able to balance. So the first thing I'm going to do is use either a sleeve grip, a wrist grip, a collar grip, something that allows you to gain some control of the upper body. And we're going to use that to pull our partner towards us. And I'm going to create this compression like I'm loading up a leg press. Now I'm going to push my partner's hips into the air. So I'm not trying to push my partner away from me, because if he's tall enough, he's just going to be able to use his height to absorb the force. Once I've extended my leg fully, all my potential energy is gone. And again, that lever mechanic becomes available, and now I'm screwed. So I pull my partner towards me, and I lift him in the air, taking his foot off the mat. Now I push his hip down, maintaining this lever control to his hip, and keeping that foot off the ground using my butterfly hook. If I don't do this, and he posts his foot down, he's going to gain some base, which is going to allow him to potentially extract this leg and get back up. So I keep this leg in the air, gripping the ankle or the pant leg, depending on whether you're training in gi or no gi. My right foot comes to the mat. I use my elbow behind me for base at roughly a 45-degree angle. We're going to mention some of these concepts in various videos. This is the post and force vector concept. If my elbow is here and Rory pushes me even a little bit, I get knocked over because my post is at a 90-degree angle. Rory's force is being generated towards me this way. 90 degrees versus an angle this way does not provide sufficient support. I want a 45-degree angle with my elbow. Now he pushes me, doesn't affect me. I retreat into base, replacing my elbow with my knee, and I can use this lever control to keep him down and either run away if this was a fight, or pass his guard if we're going to continue playing jiu-jitsu, or pass his guard fuck him up if we're playing jiu-jitsu and we're actually fighting. So that's the tripod sweep. That's the best sweep, best guard attack to learn for a beginner who's facing a standing opponent. If, however, somebody's made it into my closed guard, the best attack from here is the hip bump sweep, because this does not involve the risk of me getting my guard passed. If I attempt, let's say, an arm bar, and I'm kind of not so great at it, and I do some shit like this, my partner's gonna pass my guard relatively easily, and I'm gonna end up on the bottom of side control. It's very important when we're attacking from, well, not just the guard, it's very important when we're attacking in jiu-jitsu, period, that we disrupt our opponent's alignment. Alignment is made up of base, posture, and structure. Right now, Rory's got strong posture. His spine has integrity. He's got good structure. His limbs are optimally positioned to achieve his goals. And he's got good base. He's got contact with the ground, allowing him to generate or absorb force. If I attempt to attack him right now, I haven't affected his alignment, which means he's not vulnerable. So the first thing I'm going to look to do if I'm using the closed guard is break his posture. I can do that via a collar grip or a grip on the back of my partner's neck up towards the crown of the head, not at the base of the spine, because that's not allowing me to go to the end of the lever. The end of the lever is here. If I pull my partner down, I'm controlling his posture. He's now no longer effective. He's going to start to push back, trying to get himself back into good posture, which is allowing me to build my base from my elbow to my hand. So I'm coming up to my elbow, rotating my hand out, popping up. Let's rotate a little bit this way. From here, my arm is going to cover his arm. I'm covering his triceps so he can't base out. Go to post your hand. It's difficult. If I don't do this, he's able to post his hand for base. So I started to affect his posture. I now need to affect his base. As I come across, I cover his arm. Now my right leg is going to cover his knee. This is preventing him from posting out wider. So his base to this side is under my control. His structure is compromised because his limbs can't get into position to do what he needs to do. I have base, I have posture, my limbs are positioned to do what I need to do. My left foot is at an angle driving my hip this way where he has no ability to base. So the alignment score is in my favor by a factor of 3 to 1. I should be able to very effectively perform this sweep. My hip will bump him in the ribs, knocking him over. I'm still holding his arm, preventing him from posting as I come up on top into the mount, which especially for fighting, if you're a beginner, is by far the most dominant position. The back is great. It's more dominant from like a jiu-jitsu perspective in the sense that I can more effectively attempt to submit you if I'm on your back than I can if I'm mounting you. But in a fight, I can cave your face in with elbows. So if we want to use jiu-jitsu, again, for that original self-defense concept, the mount is the position that you want to be in. So just once again, quickly, I can use any number of ways of affecting my opponent's alignment. For instance, I could perform a grip break here, and as my partner attempts to return his hand into place, I can continue to control it as I come up into base, controlling his structure, controlling his ability to base out, and then knocking him over and maintaining that control. So I don't want you to take away from this the idea that there's like one way to do the hip bump. The reason we're giving you some of these concepts is so that you can understand why you're doing what you're doing and how you can adaptively problem solve and execute these techniques, which these techniques are just expressions of these concepts. You can execute these techniques despite resistance in different ways as long as you understand you're trying to deny somebody base to this side and put yourself in proper alignment to generate force in the direction where you're taking your partner while denying him base. How you achieve that will change as you gain more experience and more exposure to different techniques, but hopefully this helps you understand how to attack somebody properly from the guard.